Hi, I'm Steve Watson, the Maricopa County School Superintendent, and welcome teachers and administrators. I'm honored to partner with Flynn Foundation as we welcome 4 high school teachers from around Arizona who will share about their life and bioscience programs. Rachna Nath, an honors biology and AP environmental science teacher from Arizona College Prep in the Chandler Unified School District. And Brenda Lundt, Biotechnology from Santa Rita High School in the Tucson Unified School District. And Jeremy Jonas, Biotechnology and Research Methods teacher from Tucson Magnet High School in the Tucson Unified School District. And Kim Rogers, Project Lead the Way Biomedical Sciences teacher from Mountain Ridge High School in the Deer Valley Unified School District. Let's learn about what's happening in these great programs at these terrific schools.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us this afternoon for our panel discussion on bioscience and life science programs. My name is Adrian Dialba, and I'll be your host today. We truly are honored to have our panelists share a little bit of information about the programs that they have available at their schools, and we hope that you learn from this information and you apply it. We're very excited. As I call your names, panelists, if you can turn on your camera really quick and wave at the audience just so that they know what you look like in real life. So first, I'd like to introduce Jeremy Jonas from Tucson Magnet High School. Thank you. Brenda Lundt from Santa Rita High School. Kim Rogers from Mountain Ridge High School. And last but not least, Rachna Nath from Arizona College Prep in the Chandler Unified School District. As you listen to the information the panelists share, please remember to post any questions using the Q&A button on the bottom of your screen so you can send us those questions. Now I'll pass the mic, the virtual mic, to Mr. Jonas and Ms. Lundt to share details about their programs.
Hi, everybody. Let me put up my slides, because what kind of teacher would I be if I didn't have slides? All right. So Mr. Jonas and I teach in the same district. So I'm going to tell you a little bit. The difference is that Jeremy's program was the inaugural program in our district. And so he's got a wealth of history and experience. And my program was what is a new program. We just started it a couple years ago. And so we're just going to talk a little bit about the path to getting programs in our district, what that looks like, and what do my students do at our school in a relatively new program. This is my 15th year in secondary science teaching. I got my BA in biochemistry from Smith College. I have an MS in instructional technology and an MA in teaching and teacher education. That degree I got just last year in a program called Teachers in Industry, which is a really cool program they have at the University of Arizona that puts teachers in science-related industry jobs that allows them to so I got actually experience at Roche Pharmaceuticals, which allowed me to get my certification to teach bioscience, because those hours in that laboratory I was then able to leverage into my career and technical education certification. So I think it's really interesting to look at those ways that those educational opportunities partner with our career opportunities. So in Tucson Unified, our district has bioscience programs at 5 of our 10 high schools. We've opened one program every year for the last 4. Well, we skipped a year at COVID, right? But for the last 3 of the last 4 years, we've opened a new program at different schools. Our programs are supported primarily by our career and technical education overview. We have a JTED in our county. We have a countywide advisory board. So these are the kinds of things. We are not individually as new program teachers starting our programs from the ground up. We in Tucson Unified, as we open new programs at this point, we are using the models created at our inaugural programs to slot into some existing curriculum and policies, funding sources, those kinds of things. One of our big supports here in Tucson is that we're able to partner with Dr. Anderson at the U of A, the University of Arizona Biotech Project, and she will prepackage all of our lab supplies. We have almost all the durable equipment in our labs, but when we need specific supplies to run a lab or do anything like that, Dr. Anderson supplies all of that, and we have a great partnership and support in that. And then in addition, Dr. Anderson runs these programs that allows us to take our bioscience classes and enroll our students directly in classes at the U of A in molecular cellular biology levels 101 and 102. So we have all of these opportunities for our students, and then really just these opportunities to kind of expand our reach because we can kind of, by making a relationship with the university, we don't have to procure specific supplies. We can say, I want to try this new thing, and the university can help us with that, which is really, really cool. In Santa Rita in particular, our program began in 2018. And roughly, our school is really small. There's less than 400 students at our school. So roughly 25% of our student body actually participates in the bioscience program every year. And we offer 3 years of bioscience courses. Well, someday. Right now we offer 2 years, but the 3rd year was just approved by our board. And so I'm excited to offer that next year with our students. You can see pictures of my students doing outreach with our 8th graders to encourage them to come to our school to learn different stuff, to get connected with our bioscience program. So at Santa Rita, we're doing this very kind of traditional. Bioscience is in our science department. It is being taught alongside biology and chemistry, not after, but as an option. Whereas Mr. Jonas, who I'm going to turn the mic over to in just a sec, at Tucson High, is really taken this opportunity to involve his students in some live research with some professors at the university. And so I'm excited for him to tell you about that.
Thanks, Brenda. I will share my screen as well. So hi, y'all. My name is Jeremy Jonas. As Mr. De Alba said, I teach biotechnology program in our research methods and advanced research methods at Tucson High Magnet School in TUSD. Today, I'm going to tell you just a couple strategies of how to kind of level up your laboratory for those bioscience programs that want to take it to the next level in terms of independent scientific research with their bioscience program. As Brenda mentioned, in our beginning year of biotechnology and bioscience programs, we cover the fundamentals of cellular and molecular biology. Because of that, we are dual enrolled at the University of Arizona for Molecular Cell Bio 101. In our second year and second and third year programs, I structure mine as an independent research program in which students conduct their own research and then enter it into science fairs. So I'm at Tucson High Magnet School, oldest high school in Southern Arizona. For my second year and third year programs, students conduct research and then they enter it in both the Southern Arizona Science and Engineering Fair, it's our regional science fair, as well as some students even go on to compete in the Arizona Junior Science and Humanities Symposium. I also host our own in-house Tucson High Science Fair that is essentially kind of a practice run for my students in presenting their research to the public. It is an incredible value to introduce students into the science competition world. They get to cultivate skills in setting up their own experimental design, asking scientific questions, figuring out ways to answer those questions, gathering and collecting data, making sense of that data, and then communicating what they found and why it's important to the public. And that's science in a nutshell, essentially. Many of my students go on to get scholarships and prizes, as well as many recognitions, and it helps their resume tremendously. So one big strategy that I've used over the past 8 years that I've been teaching our biotechnology program is trying to build a really robust STEM ecosystem that so many teachers do naturally on their own through grassroots connections and networks. But I've done it a little bit more formally over the years with lab collaborations at the University of Arizona, as well as with local professional scientists and industry partners. So just over the past 3 years, I finally took the time to tally it up that our lab has collaborated with over 33 labs at the University of Arizona across 10 different departments. We've worked with 3 industry local biotechnology partners. We've been on 5 different NSF grants, which helped us buy instruments and materials and even sent students to special trips. And I've mentored over 100 students on projects, or match these students rather with a professional scientist for their program for a mentorship. Lab collaborations are incredibly valuable because it gets students real world experience with professional labs, laboratories, as well as professional scientists. And this is where you see students just really come alive. Lab collaborations, in my experience, have come in three major flavors. The first is students actually working in a physical laboratory at that research institute. So I'm lucky to be right across the street from the University of Arizona, but we've also had students go to local biotech lab industry facilities. The second flavor is students working with a mentor in which they come to your school, either during the class that you teach and just kind of work in a separate lab station, or in an after school program. And finally, the good thing that's come of the pandemic is I think we've realized we can really collaborate with anyone in the world now virtually through Zoom. And just in the last year, I had students work with scientists in the Bay Area from Roche. I had students work with professors at the University of Michigan. I had students even work with a scientist in Belgium and Sweden. And that was really incredible. It could be tricky with the times, but we were able to do these international collaborations that were just fantastic and very successful. A couple tools that I'll leave you with, and I'll be sharing these slides publicly with y'all with Mr. De Alba for you guys to peruse. But I put together a template letter in which I use to reach out to potential collaborators, just to introduce myself and my program, and really what our research, our second year biotechnology students do. So feel free to use this and flip it in your own way to introduce yourself and your program. Also, the Advancing Science Research Teaching program is a fantastic program that's online. I've got the link here, and you can schedule basically talks with professionals on how to get mentors and other collaborators into your classroom. And then lastly, I've linked our University of Arizona's STAR Lab. It stands for Students Taking Advantage of Research, in which we more formally connect students with professional laboratories. Some of the benefits of collaborating with labs include, well, I should say they're difficult to initially establish, but they snowball and they only get bigger and bigger, and you can watch them grow. And it's incredible because a lot of grants will grow from these. Just last year, we had a $40,000 grant to buy neurobiology kits in which students investigated the fundamentals of neurobiology using these backyard brain kits. Ultimately, hopefully you and your students will be running the science game, as we like to say at Tucson High. And that's all I got. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. There's my email address, as well as Mr. De Alba has my contact.
All right, thank you for sharing, Mr. Jonas and Ms. Lundt. Next, we have Kim Rogers, who will share a little bit of information about the program she has at her school.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Rogers from Mountain Ridge High School in Glendale, Arizona. We have a little bit of a different take on bioscience. We have the Project Lead the Way Biomedical Sciences program here on our campus, and I have a short video to show you, and then I'll share some more information once the video's over. Okay, here we go. Mountain Ridge High School's Project Lead the Way Biomedical Sciences program is a career and technical education curriculum consisting of 4 courses. Students utilize career exploration, critical and creative thinking combined with technical skills, laboratory skills, and professional practices to provide solutions to real-world scenarios. Principles of biomedical sciences: students explore forensic science, clinical medicine, outbreaks, and the future of innovation while developing in-demand transportable skills useful in life and career, along with technical and laboratory skills. Human body systems. Through projects such as determining the identity of a skeleton using both forensic anthropology and DNA analysis, students examine the interactions of the human body that apply what they know to solve real-world medical cases. Medical interventions. Students follow the lives of a fictitious family to investigate how to prevent, diagnose, and treat diseases. During the course, students perform a wide variety of labs, analyze information, and follow the design process to assist the fictitious patients. Biomedical innovation. Building on the knowledge and skills gained from previous courses, students design their own innovative solutions for the most pressing health challenges of the 21st century. Students will also complete a capstone project of their choice to conclude their biomedical sciences journey. Biomedical sciences students at Mountain Ridge have the opportunity to join HOSA, Future Health Professionals Organization, where they learn leadership skills, participate in student chapter and community development activities. Members can also compete at regional, state, and international HOSA competitions. Students also have the opportunity to complete a biomedical sciences internship during their senior year. For more information, please contact Kim Rogers at the information on your screen. Okay, so that was a brief overview of our program. In terms of starting our program, our district already had Project Lead the Way engineering at Mountain Ridge and two other schools, Mountain Ridge and another school. And then we began the biomedical sciences program. So with that, your school will partner with Project Lead the Way. Teachers go to professional development to learn the curriculum and get trained for each course they teach. We have a separate internship coordinator that coordinates all the internships for all of our CTE programs on campus. So as the students approach their senior year and start developing their course choices for the year, they match up with our internship coordinator who takes things from there. Our students have also been able to, with the benefit of this course, been able to combine their interest in science and medicine, and they tend to get involved in a wide variety of things, between volunteer opportunities throughout the school year, reaching out with mentors for their capstone projects, also a variety of summer programs in state and out of state to kind of help them determine where their interests lie in terms of the science medicine aspect. We've also been fortunate that as our students have completed these programs, it has helped the ones that are interested in more laboratory type sciences been able to get student positions at their universities in the labs based on the skills they've had in our classes. This is these are CTE elective classes. They are at an honors level. The students will take these in conjunction with their grade level or above math and science. So we're not replacing any of those existing, foundational skills that they need to be successful moving on to their college and careers. Again, if you guys are interested, my contact information will be available on this. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. Next we have Rachna Nath from Chandler Unified School District, who will share a little bit about her program. I think you're muted.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, everybody, for sharing all of your programs with us. For me, being the last speaker, I actually have an advantage of knowing all of your programs, and then I can say, hey, you know what? I do something very, very similar. So, but it's a little bit different too. So let me share my slides and I will get to it right away. Okay. hopefully everybody can see my slides. Okay, so a little bit about me. I'm a teacher here in Chandler Unified School District. I teach biotech, which is my first year here, but I've been doing a lot of things related to biotech for a long while. I'll tell you what that is. Our school wanted a new campus, and that provided the facility to actually encourage students to get into a biotech program, because now we have more space. We're not restricted to a primary school that we were in last few years, many years, but this has opened up new avenues. I also teach AP Environmental Science, Honors Science Research, and Honors Bio. So along with all the credentials, I have these two pictures here with me, because I know that with science students, given COVID, it has been an uphill struggle to make them invested in science projects, individual science research. I tell them that, hey, you know what? If you see success as an iceberg, guess what's beneath it? There is all of these factors that you have to do in order to see that success that comes out for everybody to see. Now, this is some of my pictures that I have. So we are ACP Knights. We call ourselves Knights. I am in Chandler, and we are a Chandler Public School, but it's also a school of choice. And what I run, again, is a bioscience program, which also is partnered with U of A through Dr. Anderson. But also what I have done with my bioscience program is I've made it a little bit more than just research. PBL, everybody knows what PBL is, but I wanted to define it in terms of what the students want to do. So I put in 3 more acronyms in there: Dream, Research, Innovate, in a project-based setting, which means that whatever you truly, truly, truly want to do, and you dream to be about, or you dream to be, bring that in, research about it a little bit, what will make that a unique product, innovate based on your research, and then do a project-based learning, which includes all of the essential components of project-based learning. So what I will share with you today is some of my students' successes and failures, of course, in this course, which I call as Triple. Now, with the projects that they have done, all my students, and I've been with this group for 5 years, we have actually won through this Triple phenomena at ISAF, at GHSS, AZSAF, which is our state fair, and also competed at Regeneron Talent Search. And I'm extremely, extremely proud of that. Now, some of the things that come out of my program is, I'll tell you a lot of examples, but what I do is I emphasize these students writing grants. So I tell my students, hey, you know what? There is an MIT grant for $10,000. Would you guys mind applying for that? And what do you think they need? They need an innovative idea for a problem that you really need to solve that's real life, right? So I was able to motivate this kid, saying that, giving the dream of, oh, I might be able to go to MIT, or, I might be able to get into this NOAA group, or, just the excitement part of it. So I do not subject my kids to doing a particular science project directly just for doing a science project, but I give them that open platform that, okay, if you do not win at science projects, guess what? You're also going to write a grant, and these grants are going to help you take your program further or take your idea further. So this particular group of students came out of an application to an MIT grant, Lemelson MIT to be very specific, and they're calling it Y-band. Now these groups of students are not just 3. In a typical science project, there's a cutoff of 3 students. These students think of these science projects as community outreach projects. So even if they don't win at a science fair, it doesn't matter, because they have a bigger purpose or bigger goal to it. The first one was a Y-band, which was a wearable device that they would amplify weak or dead zones areas. So say suppose you're traveling from Phoenix to San Francisco or LA or Nevada, wherever you are, there are dead areas where there's no Wi-Fi. So if you're wearing this device, whatever weak signal you have gets amplified. And here the students are presenting in front of the city of Chandler members that are community partners that helps with the project. This particular one is a project that actually Porsche wants to partner with these 5 students. They started off with me as freshmen, and what they decided is, hey, you know what, my dad has a respiratory problem with all of these scent bags and those air fresheners that they use. So I'm going to make something that is VOC free. So VOC stands for volatile organic compounds cause respiratory distress. What these 5 students, now they are juniors, came up with are packets which they're calling a smart scent, and these smart cells were a part of the City of Chandler Made in Chandler Expo. We were invited to the state of the city address, and they sold these things, and they're all under provisional patents. This one actually is under provisional patent right now. This particular group of students, Sense Hydro, there is a website called sensehydro.weebly.com, which they made, and there are 9 students here, 10 actually, one of them graduated. They are working on this prototype, and we got a lot of grant from Intel's to, it started off as an MIT project. We got Intel grants, we got Healthy Urban Initiative grants, and now we're working on a prototype, and this is a heat sensing band that's going to prevent heat stress and heat stroke for students, so for people who are wearing it outside or even inside, and for elderly too. Another grant that we got was from AZRC, which is Arizona Recycling Coalition. This particular group of students actually won at ISEF last year for a styrofoam recycling. The problem started off with their own cafeteria because we use a lot of styrofoam plates. They wanted to reduce the styrofoam consumption within our school, aside from waste in our school. So we used mealworms to digest these styrofoams, and they did amazing. I mean, there's a paper coming out pretty soon, which will be an actual publication, and they are parts of it. This again was an AZRC grant again, and this group of students were working on electronic waste collections, and there's a device that they are trying to create a prototype of to notify people and have established like electronic waste collection bins all over the city of Chandler, and they're working with the city of Chandler. What you see here, he is the vice mayor, Mr. Rene Lopez, and we reach out and we talk to these community partners all the time. One of the things that came out of this particular bioscience program was a biophysics pipeline, which ended up getting an NSF grant, a Flynn grant, a Department of Defense grant. And this basically is taking biosciences and giving it out to high school and middle school students. So the Department of Defense grant, I'm working with 10 high schools and 10 middle schools with my friend at ASU, who is also a faculty there, and we are working on getting these bioscience programs out to that. So we were extremely fortunate to have these grants and these students interested in this. A couple of projects. So other than that, my students work on not just creating a product or winning at a science fair, but one of the students actually ended up making authoring a book, which is an international bestseller now. So, thinking outside of the box, what can students actually do with their science projects? One of the biggest things I'm struggling with is, why are their research not published? And so we started off a STEM journal, or STEM Visions, and we're going to publish it. I'm working with the Library of Congress to have an official ISBN number, a science ISBN number for these particular students. And you can see this is what my regular class looks like. Whatever waste we generate, and these are boxes where papers come in and we try to make them. And what they had made was just part of an octopus arm, which has been used as a planter. And the planters are basically recycled, the milk cartons that are thrown away in their lunches. So they bring it and they figure out a way to water these using aquaponics and hydroponic systems. So again, some photo gallery, what they do, they talk, discuss, they write letters to officers all around the world, same as what Jeremy does. And that's why I was smiling as he was presenting, because it just is so much fun. I think, Jeremy, we should share resources, you for AOVA, and I'll share the resources that we have from ASU, because most of my partners and most of the labs that my students work in is at ASU, because of course of distance. You guys are in Tucson, we are in Phoenix. So other things that we did, part of environmental science, building your own garden. looking at things that the students can invest in, looking at a difference between aquaponics, hydroponics, and horticulture. And we were able to create these small packets of fresh greens and peas and give it to all of our teachers, your staff members. And they got truly invested in this, because I feel that we are missing the hands-on part of the study, the teacher, because we are more structured. We are so structured that we tend to keep inside our classrooms. We need to have these students go out in the wild, outside of the classrooms, to get their hands dirty. And there was a time when the students got their shoes off and they were stepping on, they bought cow dung from a nearby cow farm, which was disgusting, but hey, you know, that was fun. So these are some of the links for the kids. Well, sorry, I should have changed that. Students project. I consider all my students as kids, so that was left there. So we do a lot of other things too, like for example, SRP grants. We look at competitions from all over. So these are some of the YouTube links that the students have made. These are some of the students' websites. One of the other thing that I did not have mentioned here is the ecoclam.com. They're working on this. Again, it's an AI-driven system where they're looking at teaching the students in our school what is a truly recyclable item and what's not. So with the AI, whatever is not recyclable, which students think it's recyclable, it buzzes, and then it's more like an education thing. But they are working on that. This is part of the NOAA grant that they were working on. So yeah, I mean, that's it. It's for my program, it's basically, if you get a grant, take a grant, research, innovate, and then once they have an innovation, I have partnerships with the patent lawyers. So they patent their ideas. And then I also have a partnership with the local incubator here, Channel Innovations. Diana White, who is director, is a phenomenal lady who takes these students with those innovative ideas and trains them to become a business. And my students have already established 2 businesses as of now. So as of now, we have 4 provisional patents and 2 patent pendings on the projects that the students have come up with through the Drupal platform. So if you want to reach out to me, that is my LinkedIn profile. I am very active on LinkedIn, not on any social media, but if you have any questions, you can email me too. So thank you. That's all I have. Back to you, Adrian.
Thank you very much. We are truly honored to be around such exemplary teachers. For the next section of the workshop, we'll have an open question and answer session. So if all the panelists could turn on their cameras, and then I will ask questions that the audience have submitted, and we will go from there. You guys can just chime in and answer the questions. So all of you spoke about collaborating with outside organizations. And I know, Jeremy, you actually shared a template of a letter that you do, but the question that came is, how do you start these conversations with companies or even within your district to be able to go out and reach out to these companies so that students can get lab experiences or other experiences outside of the classroom?
Great question. And like you said, I shared my template letter, and that's where I started, was really kind of cold calling or cold emailing folks. But over time, I got way better at it, like so many things. But I find in communicating what you do in a nutshell, and then like Rachna said, to give examples of the successes that you have had in the past. So I link also several publications that have come from my students' work. And I think once real industry scientists or academic research scientists see that and see that your students are serious, they have incredible talent, then they are so happy and eager to collaborate. And a lot of times people don't realize this, that there are large stipends written into big NSF grants that promote K through 12 collaborations. And a lot of them are just waiting around for, so to speak, for teachers to reach out to them, and they just can't wait to collaborate, but they don't know how to start themselves. So starting that conversation can bloom and blossom into incredible successes that you'd never imagine.
Thank you. Did anybody else want to add to that?
I'll add quickly, our district has a partnership organization. So reaching out to the people that are in charge of that and letting them know what you're looking for. So if they do get partners coming in, then they are filtered toward my program.
Perfect.
I want to add something really quickly. We don't realize that our biggest resource is the parents. You know, the parents are in all different kinds of professions, and they are best suited to help their own kids because they're invested in it, right? And then that's how I ended up, you know, partnering with so many community partners, from lawyers to doctors to IT. I mean, I'm a biologist, for God's sake. When a student comes to me with an AI project, I'm like, oh, good Lord. So I do end up moving to one of my friends who is an AI expert so that they can, and that's how we get mentors. And I think investing, the students' investment is the biggest key here. If they're not invested, then nothing works.
Thank you. And that's a great lead way to the next question. So how do you train and involve all stakeholders or others to ensure that your program is sustainable? So beyond, let's say, if you leave to something greater, how do you involve everyone so that it continues?
I would say communication. Open communication, because, you know, there are lots of things that I face when we talk about grants, we talk about patents, you know, and when you talk about patents, now these are minors that are going to patent. Most of the patent lawyers refused me because they did not want to get involved with group patents. And my students are actually writing a small patent handbook as to what are the problems they faced when they were going through the patent process. And I had to sit all the parents down and I said, hey, you know what? This is something, even before it goes out to the public, we need to patent it. We need to apply for a provisional patent, because once it goes out into the open, now you're losing your space and then it can be taken up by any industry or anybody. But I've set them down. I've been very open with all of the expectations. I've said that, you know what, with all of the grants, all the patents, I am just going to be the name of it. I cut myself off of any kind of financial benefits the students are going to earn from these in future. My purpose is not to earn money. My purpose is to motivate these kids, and I make that very clear from the very beginning. And that's what it makes them invested, because every parent wants their students or wants their kids to do something other than what general people are doing. You know, when I say general people, general students, everybody is volunteering. Everybody does music, art, some kind of sport. Everybody has a good GPA nowadays, you know, and talking about, so what makes them different from the crowd? And these are the things, these are the opportunities that I make the parents understand that if you invest in your kid, I am there to push them with all of my connections, all of my resources, and they usually invest. So.
Thank you. We also have a question. Oh, Brenda, did you want to add to that?
I was just going to say, I think in a more traditional setting, when we talk about investing in programs, right? Like our CTE programs as a whole are very personality driven by the instructor. And so how do you look at, but we have all of these equipments and all of these opportunities for students, and how do we maintain those? And I want to echo what Rachna said about communication, but I think it's about communication with the other members of your department, and particularly in bioscience with your science department. And I think if it's possible, if you have the right space, like Jeremy, before Jeremy was bioscience, Mr. Jonas, the teacher who taught before took him under her wing and said, I need someone else to help me teach these courses, right? And so I think identifying that person who is your logical successor, and not just your successor because you're planning to leave, but because you want to grow your program bigger than you are. And so if you can identify that person, then you've already kind of created that stopgap against that possible like knowledge loss when things change, right? We don't want to let the funding and investment in these resources and these students lapse just because a person isn't able to stay in that space any longer.
Can I just add something real quickly? I 100% agree with everything that Brenda and Rachna said, but at the very beginning and the inception of these programs, I think we would all agree it takes money. They don't start just from scratch, from a shoestring budget. It takes money to get students familiar and comfortable with professional grade microscopy, professional grade micropipettes, and a lot of these instruments and equipment that aren't cheap. And it's really critical, though, that students are given the opportunity to master and demonstrate proficiency with professional industry grade equipment and instruments. And then they can reach out to their community members and local scientists to say, hey, this is what I do. I have these skills. I would love to take what I know to the next level. But that initial, I think, startup requires money, and hopefully our city, county, and state educators and politicians will recognize the value in injecting those funds early on to make the pipelines of the professional scientists and the innovators of tomorrow.
So going off of that, what type of funding do each of your programs get?
Yeah, I'll just say real quickly, I saw Michelle's question there in the chat, and predominantly I'd say for Brenda and I, it's through career and technical education through our state funds. And then, only then, really supplemental sources come from grants and collaborations through university and industry partners. Would you agree with that, Brenda?
Yeah, and I don't know that every district or every school is supported by a JTED. So our county JTED, which we take for granted, but was created and was actually quite a big deal when it was created. That funding source is a significant piece of that as well.
I'll echo off of that. I'm in a different county, so I have a different JTED, but our JTED supports us very well. And then again, with all the Perkins fundings that come through CTE, so that's where the majority of our funding sources come from. And then if we need to, our campus will pitch in from time to time if they have extra funds.
Since this is our first year doing biotech and I'm doing Biotech 1, I have been very thankful for the new school funds that we had. That were some of them were unused. So we were able to use those to get equipments which usually a new biotech program in a new school would not get. So I have that, and of course CTE funds help, but also I look for tax donations. That's a big one. Every parent can do $400 tax donations to a particular program. And my HOSA club, I tell my students, you know what, these are the things I need. We are very basic at this point. If you really want to do and go ahead in doing a BSL-2 lab, for example, we need help. And that help comes from the $400 tax donations that you're going to get back. And the students do see that, And another source of funding is just local grants. There's so many of them that teachers are unaware of. They should write a lot of grants. At one point, I was afraid of writing grants, and now it's becoming crazy with all these high school students. I'm training them to write grants, but it truly helps. It truly helps. Yeah.
Thank you. The next question coming in is, do you offer student internships? And if you can explain those, are they paid, unpaid? Do they get credit? Any other details you'd like to include?
I'll start with that. We at Deer Valley District, we do have senior level CTE internships. Again, we have a separate teacher that coordinates those. And as she's setting them up, some of them may be paid, some of them may be non-paid. It is a virtual, it's an online class through our district online school. So the students take as many classes as they want to their senior year, a minimum of 4. And then they have this online internship class where they have to set certain things and turn those in, and then work with their internship mentor to do whatever is required of them. Past years, we'd had some internships with some universities. COVID has kind of changed some of that. And in our aspect, being more the biomedical side, it can be a little bit of a challenge with trying to get students into certain facilities based on their age and some of the requirements. So our program is still relatively new, and our internship courses are even newer. So it's we're continuing to try and build that and reach out to those partnerships and get a nice pipeline for our students.
I can piggyback on that and just say, similar to Kim, I've had both non-paid internships. I wish I could be the instructor and have it a full-blown class. I kind of just do them on the side as they arise. But over the years, yeah, we've had success in having internships. And just this year, just a few weeks ago, in fact, I have two young ladies in my bioscience program who are on a paid internship with a lab at the University of Arizona, studying thermotolerance of these fungal species and how they're adapting to climate change in the tundra. So incredibly important research, and they're getting paid on top of that, which is, as a junior in high school, it's a big deal. That said, as many, kind of like the iceberg that Rashna showed, as many of the successes that we have as a program in internships, we struggle a lot actually to find them. And like Kim said, with all the restrictions that a lot of industry have surrounding minor policies in their workspace, it makes it incredibly difficult. And some of those are just so prohibitive. We've been trying to work with more local biotech companies to either try to relax those restrictions or try to rethink how we can get young scientists and young talented thinkers on their campus, on their facility, and being trained as professionals and to get paid. Because at the end of the day, many of my students are very low income and they need to pay bills. They are significant contributors to that household bills. And if they're doing research for free, I can see why they might work at Whataburger or at the movie theaters rather than do research. So I think societally, we need to pay them. We need to compensate them and reward them financially for these internships.
Just piggybacking off of Jeremy, what he said. Well, first of all, I try to train everybody saying, you know what, you need to start volunteering. Don't think about payment right now, but it's going to happen. So what I take advantage of is a program that ASU has. It's called SCENE, SCENE. And that SCENE program actually matches students with professors as early as 10th graders, so sophomores. So I said, okay, and I'm also a little bit calculative in looking at who got NSF funding and who not from all of these online platforms. And I strategically approached those teachers or those professors at ASU saying, hey, you just got an NSF grant. Would you like to have one of my students as one of your teachers? And it doesn't have to be a wet lab. It can be something that's online. And COVID has opened up a huge area of experiments that even the professors previously with wet labs now think was possible. So there is a lot of avenues there, but I try to say you have to start somewhere. So don't think of money right away. And I know where Jeremy is coming from, that you have to pay bills and everybody, but if they get a paid internship, wonderful, right? And that's where I look at all of these NSF grants. But I think one of the things that Jeremy also said is these professors, either at ASU or U of A or anywhere, they're looking for this K-12 outreach component. When they write their career grants, when they write any kind of grant, they always have to have a K-12 outreach. And that K-12 outreach is missing because they do not know which teachers to look out to. So you have to be, as a teacher, go out and find these partnerships with these professors who already have existing NSF grants, and then you actually get a paid internship. There are things donated to your lab, and it's a miracle. But there are challenges in the way for sure.
All right, thank you. And the last and final question that we have is, if you could give someone starting a program one piece of advice, what would it be? I know it's the easiest question, right?
I'm going to defer to Brenda because, as Brenda said, I got incredibly lucky and I essentially inherited my program and was groomed from a legendary teacher myself. So yeah, Brenda, it's not easy, I know, but what are your tips?
So, I mean, I guess the biggest piece is that there's going to be so much more than you can do in the first year, and to just accept whatever pieces you master, right? And just keep on the lookout for how you can incorporate that next year, right? Like, so for me, it was really giving myself permission to not do it all at once. I think the other piece that really works in our district is that our bioscience team is incredibly supportive of each other. And so I would say, I do not know what I'm doing. And I could pick up the phone and Jeremy would say, hold on, let me get them started on their assignment. And he would answer my question, right? Like that ability to find those connections. And so I think that as we continue to, the Arizona Bioindustry Association is sponsoring this Bioscience Week, and we have this opportunity to connect. We want to keep looking at those ways that bioscience teachers can connect across the state and then support one another. I think is a huge important part of, it feels like one more thing, but it's the most important thing, is that connection and the support.
I'll piggyback off of that. Like I said, I'm the only teacher in my district that teaches my curriculum. So fortunately with the Project Lead the Way, we have a nationwide network. And then you, from there, kind of figure out who is in Arizona. But even if it's not the exact same content, because everybody's bioscience, biotech has a little bit different twist to it, the more you can get involved at the state level with the curriculum work, get to know those teachers, develop your network through all the other professional organizations, things like that, to have the people you can ask questions in that content. And then also with your other science teachers on campus. I'm not an expert on everything. So when that one thing comes in that just doesn't make sense, I'm fortunately right next door to our very strong science department. So I can go ask those questions and it's not awkward because we've developed a rapport over the years and developed that. A couple other things from starting the program is looking, as I was approached to start the program, so it was completely foreign to me on how all this worked, but taking a moment to understand what your content is, what the standards are, what do you need to have for equipment, what are the state requirements for equipment in your lab, because there are those times when district or someone will say, well, do you really need to have that? And when you know where to find the documents that guide your curriculum and you say, yes, I do need these pieces because they're in the state standards, they're in the equipment list, and all those tools that you get from your JTED can help you. It gives you somewhere to go to. Again, it's all too much to take in at once, but as you get more confident, you know where those tools are located to help you know how to move forward each year and help your students continue to build on their skills and be successful as they leave high school.
Well, here I have to mention Jeremy because he gave me his whole entire curriculum for when I was going crazy with, having 4 preps. He has been extremely gracious. So thank you, Jeremy. And that has been a huge help. And of course, CTE does provide resources for you. And I was also nosy enough and bothersome enough for other people to bring things from others too. So it all helps, and having a great team, Kim, Brenda, like you mentioned, it's amazing to have a team that supports you in whatever you want to do. In that way, I have been fortunate with my admin, with my fellow teachers, with the people that I work with or reach out to. But you always keep on finding new resources, new ways to supplement your program because that's what you love to do.
Well, thank you very much for answering all these questions. You guys are truly exemplary. I was impressed by all of the information that you gave. We hope the information was useful for all of you. Please look for an email with a link to the recording for this discussion and any other resources that we discussed in the workshop, so you can share with your friends, colleagues, or other people. Thank you very much. This concludes the session.